Let's turn to New Brunswick as history in the province has been made.
Tonight's results make it clear New Brunswickers are ready for a change.
Well, that is just a little bit from New Brunswick's next Premier, Liberal leader Susan Holt, as her party won at last count 31 seats in the provincial legislature, nearly double the number of seats won by the incumbent Progressive Conservatives. And with her victory, not only will Susan Holt lead a majority government, but she will also be New Brunswick's first female Premier. Well, we're happy to say Susan Holt joins us right now. Ms. Holt, thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Michael.
Well, listen, congratulations on your win last night. And I want to begin a question a little bit on how you're going to move forward here, because your predecessor, as you know, he was criticized for his style of leadership. He lost cabinet ministers over it. He took heat for policies around French immersion, gender identity in students, comments made about Indigenous land claims. Given that history, I'm wondering, are you then beholden to these groups now that you're about to become Premier? Because arguably, these communities would have turned to you based on those concerns.
Well, certainly our team's style of leadership is one that is inclusive and collaborative. We know that we can't do it alone. The best types of solutions and policies are ones that you develop in partnership with the people in community. We often use the phrase that the disability community coined, which is nothing about us without us. New Brunswickers want to be involved in their governance, and they want to be a partner with the people who are elected. So that's what a Holt government is going to do.
Okay, well, let's get into some of the policy, because of course healthcare, a big issue in this campaign. And in your platform, you promised to create 30 community clinics to address access and delivery of healthcare in the province. You know, once you're sworn in as Premier, how quickly will you be moving on that initiative?
Very quickly. This is the #1 priority of New Brunswickers. Access to primary care is terrible in our province right now. The waiting list for people to get a family doctor has ballooned over the last 7 years to 180,000 New Brunswickers. So we need to tackle this with the urgency that's been missing. The good news is everyone agrees on the solution. Nurse practitioners, nurses, pharmacists, physios, family doctors, all agree that a collaborative care model with a transformed pay system and making sure people have the right scope of practice to deliver is going to help us serve more patients and attract more people in to our healthcare system. So our commitment is to get 10 of those stood up in 2025. We actually think now that we've seen the reception on the ground that could be more like 12, and then the other 18 in the 2 years to follow.
Now, I asked my follow-up on this, knowing very well that New Brunswick has posted surpluses for the last 7 years in terms of the provincial budget. But to listen to Blaine Higgs, of course, your predecessor, he basically criticized your healthcare plan, saying it's really not based on a realistic estimation of what it's going to cost. So given that the province does expect to have another surplus in this fiscal year, are you willing to dip into that surplus in order to make these health priorities a reality? Do you think you're going to need to do that?
Well, we're committed to balanced budgets and a balanced approach. So we don't think that large surpluses should be built on the backs of New Brunswickers who want better access to healthcare. But neither do we think that we should break the bank and generate large deficits in order to deliver care. We believe that we can improve access to care, put these clinics in place, and continue to balance the budget and pay down debt.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I also want to ask about gender identity as it pertains to students in New Brunswick schools. And I know you are on the record as saying you will respect your province's child and youth advocate in that kids as young as age 12 would not need parental consent to talk to their teachers about changing their names and pronouns while in school to reflect their gender. But you also said that policy could change. I'm wondering what principles will guide a future decision then. Will it be a student's gender identity, or will it be parental involvement?
Well, we're always listening to the community, listening to teachers and parents and students and experts who flag for us issues as they see them and possible solutions. So as we adopt the recommendations of the Child and Youth Advocate, we're going to continue to listen to understand how things are going in schools and in families to make sure that the policies that we've put in place are working to keep kids safe, working to keep families informed, and making sure that we're delivering a strong, safe, affirming education environment for every student in New Brunswick.
So would you say that is student-focused or parental-focused?
It's not an either or. I think that there's been a false sort of narrative here of putting students against parents when that isn't the case, right? We have parents that are involved in the education of their kids every day. I'm one of them. I have 3 small children who are all in the primary and middle school systems. And thankfully, we have regular contact with their teachers who share with us information about what's happening in schools. We need a system that keeps kids safe and keeps parents involved. And we can achieve that.
Now, of course, a lot of attention across country has also been paid to the debate around French immersion in New Brunswick. The last government walking back on a policy change that they were exploring. What can you say about French immersion, the place it will have in New Brunswick education, and the type of protections your government would actually give that?
Well, I don't think I would be sitting here if I wasn't a product of the French immersion system of New Brunswick that I had the opportunity to participate in from grade 1. And it's something that was clear when Mr. Higgs tried to do away with it, that New Brunswickers are proud of our bilingual identity, the only bilingual province in Canada. It's something unique and it's an asset to our province. And the opportunity to become bilingual because of the world-class immersion system that we've developed here and that has been copied and implemented by other provinces and other places is something that families want to see continue. The challenge really is that not everybody has access to it. There's places in this province that don't have the option to take French immersion. And there's challenges with the supports that we can provide to students in the French immersion program if they have unique needs. So there are still issues to tackle, but dismantling French immersion is clearly not the way based on the response from New Brunswickers, as well as the experts who have been studying the impact and the effectiveness of the French immersion program that we have here.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, before you and I are done, I do also want to touch upon the fact that history was made last night in New Brunswick with your election. Again, you were the first woman to serve in the Premier's office in the province. I'm wondering if that in any way creates added pressure for you, given that you are the first in such a high office.
Yeah, I think the research shows that it does. There was excellent work done by some folks in Ontario and beyond that evaluated women premiers across the country. And I think they titled their findings "No Second Chances," because women don't get reelected as premier in New Brunswick across Canada because the bar is high, the expectations are high, and the climate is tough. And so that's something that I know I'm up against. But I have a phenomenal team. I have a phenomenal team of people, women, men, people of all backgrounds, different racial identities, different orientations that are coming together to do this as a team. And so we've got each other's backs, and our focus is on having New Brunswickers' backs. And I think that we can overcome the challenges that might be increased on a woman premier in New Brunswick.
Are you ready, though, for the potential toxicity? Because even your own background, you don't have a long history in politics, and you come at a time when politics is very elbows up and oftentimes heated and unfair. Are you ready for that?
I am ready for that. I'm pretty tough. I built a career playing rugby, both here and on behalf of New Brunswick and around the world. I can take the hits. And I can withstand this on behalf of New Brunswickers and women everywhere that want to see equality attained. And so the past 2.5 years has shown me quite a bit of toxicity in politics. I'm sure there's worse to come, but I have a phenomenal family, friends, support network, and team, and we're going to get through it together.
Susan Holt, I really appreciate the time. I look forward to speaking with you again. But for now, thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you very much, Michael.